There's a subtle, almost noble trap that many of us fall into. The belief that if we just hold on to a specific plan tight enough, we can force reality to yield. We build rigid mental blueprints for how our lives must unfold, drafting detailed specifications for the ideal partner, fixating on a specific company or job title, or strictly adhering to a code of behavior. The assumption is simple. If we just stay nice, work harder, or follow the prescribed formula, success becomes guaranteed. We classify this as ambition, dedication, or high standards, mistaking flexibility for weakness. Yet, pushing harder through a fixed blueprint often yields an unexpected kind of friction. The mind, locked onto a single path, loses its natural elasticity. It stops adapting to the environment as it actually is, insisting instead on how the environment should be. To see how this trap forms, consider a simple moment. You meet someone kind, grounded, and genuinely compatible. But because they don't match the exact checklist you wrote years ago, you dismiss the possibility before it has a chance to breathe. The blueprint becomes a blindfold, and in that insistence, something quiet and vital begins to break down. When we examine how we manage our expectations, fixation generally manifests in three distinct ways. The first is a fixation on form. We construct a hyper-specific checklist for an expected outcome, a static image of a dream, a title, or a destination, and apply it like a stencil over reality. In doing so, we become completely blind to genuine, far richer opportunities simply because they do not match the exact dimensions of our blueprint. The second is a fixation on method. We convince ourselves that a goal can only be achieved through one specific algorithm or behavior. Even with the purest intentions, such as believing that being perpetually agreeable is the only way to earn recognition, we fail to understand when a changing situation demands a completely different approach. The third is a fixation on belief, deep-seated dogmas about how the world, people, or success must function, such as the conviction that hard work alone guarantees fairness, or that people never change. Whenever reality strays from our internal script, we experience intense internal tension, attempting to bend the world back toward our expectations rather than updating our understanding. In all three cases, the underlying mechanism is identical. We narrow our perception into a tight, unyielding corridor, mistaking our tunnel vision for focus. This continuous inner strain does more than just exhaust our energy. It fundamentally changes how we interact with time and outcome. By demanding that reality match a single prescribed shape, we become hypervigilant architects of our own exhaustion, incapable of noticing the shifting landscape around us. In that insistence, something quiet and vital breaks down: our ability to perceive possibility. This is where a striking parallel from quantum physics becomes unexpectedly relevant to this state of relentless hyperfixation. At the core of quantum mechanics lies a well-known paradox known as the observer effect. Before a quantum system is measured, it exists as a fluid wave of possibilities. But the moment an observer measures it, that wave collapses into a single, fixed particle. The act of observation forces reality to take a rigid shape. The quantum Zeno effect takes this dynamic a step further. Physicists discovered that if you don't just observe a system once, but continuously and aggressively measure it to see if it has changed, you don't allow the wave to rebuild. Every rapid check-in resets its internal clock, effectively freezing the system in its initial state. Physicists often joke that this is the subatomic reason behind the old saying, "A watched pot never boils." When you never look away, you never allow the transformation to happen. When applied as a metaphor for human cognition, the connection to hypercontrol becomes remarkably clear. The problem is never that we set a goal or make a choice. The problem arises when we enter a state of obsessive, continuous interaction, remeasuring the same obstacle, looping the same rigid method, and forcing our narrow blueprint onto reality every single second. In doing so, we constantly collapse the situation back to its initial state of tension. We freeze our reality in an artificial loop, denying the situation the time and space it needs to evolve into something new, not because a solution doesn't exist, but because our own fixation keeps resetting the clock. Loosening this grip is frequently misunderstood as an invitation to apathy, a drop in standards, or giving up on one's ambitions. Yet changing your approach or stepping back from a rigid rule is not a failure of will. It is an act of cognitive flexibility. A single particle has one fixed position and one trajectory. A wave possesses range. It interacts, adapts, and forms patterns that could never be predicted from its point of origin. Choosing the wave state does not mean abandoning purpose or sitting passively by. It simply means recognizing that you cannot simultaneously cling to a single method and keep the full spectrum of potential outcomes alive. When you release the demand for an immediate, hyper-specific shape, you transition from a narrow spotlight to a panoramic field of vision. You free up the cognitive energy previously wasted on maintaining an artificial blueprint, allowing your mind to spot the unexpected exits, subtle nuances, and creative solutions that were previously obscured by your own insistence. Imagine driving down a highway at 120 miles an hour, staring fixedly at a single point on the distant horizon. When you move at that speed, the speed of rigid conviction and relentless focus, the world around you dissolves. The hum of the engine becomes the only sound. The landscape blurs into abstraction. Exits flicker past like ghosts you never register. You don't pay attention to details, subtle signs, or quiet side roads that branch off into stunning destinations. You're moving too fast to notice that a far better path was available all along. Rigidity feels like momentum, but often it is merely blindness. Slowing down is not giving up the journey. It is simply dropping the speed of your expectations so you can finally see the landscape clearly. And sometimes, the moment you allow yourself to look out the side window, you realize the destination you were racing toward was never the place you were meant to land. The moment you stop forcing your journey into a narrow line, the horizon opens back up, allowing the wave to move, letting the reality ahead stay wider than your plans, and unfolding possibilities you could have never designed on your own.